What's good, everybody? I'm BPC and welcome to Competitive Origins MMA. Well, maybe a third time's the charm. See, Leon Rocky Edwards is set to face off against Khamzat Chimaev for a third time. Now, the fight will take place on March 13th on a UFC Fight Night in which the two will headline. Now, if you recall, these two were supposed to fight in December, but Leon Rocky Edwards tested positive for COVID. He got extremely sick, lost a whole bunch of weight, and there was no way that he could make the fight. Now, Khamzat Chimaev also contracted COVID, and basically his manager says that his lungs just haven't fully recovered for him to train properly for a fighter of Leon Edwards' caliber, and hence the January fight has been called off. Now, the location is still being determined at the moment, but I'm sure it will come out fairly soon. You know, Khamzat so far has had 3 dominant victories in the UFC. He has an excellent relationship with Dana White, and he's been able to grow his audience to a massive following in such a short period of time. Now, that's why I feel that if he were to able to get a win over Leon Rocky Edwards, he's maybe one fight away from the title, or he may just be put into the title fight next. Now, one thing that will guarantee him a title shot is if he subscribes to Competitive Origins MMA. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you can be notified as soon as these videos go live. And don't forget to ground and pound the like button. Now, Leon Rocky Edwards, on the other hand, has an 8-fight win streak. But when you break it down, these 8 fights that he's won consecutively have not been against the top contenders. You know, they have been against some names, but when you look at Donald Cowboy Cerrone, he's mainly a 155er that fights at 170 because he doesn't want to cut the weight. So that's a great victory to have on your, on your resume, but it doesn't mean that you deserve a title shot. Now, he also has a victory against RDA. Now, RDA is a former 155-pound champion who didn't want to cut the weight anymore, and he moved up to 170. So that's another good win to have on the resume, but it doesn't really justify that, hey, I should be fighting for the title. And I think the UFC takes that into consideration. Now, you also have to think about that he turned down a lot of fights, against ranked fighters over his 18 months of inactivity. Now, the 18 months of inactivity, of course, wasn't 100% his fault, but at the same time, there's fighters like Khamzat Chimaev who have fought 3 times during this whole COVID era, and it wasn't over 18 months this whole COVID thing's been going on for. And then you look at other fighters that have fought, 5 times and actually gotten 5 victories, like Kevin Holland. So there's a lot of different fighters that have been able to fight on a frequent basis, so I can't say there's a massive reason why, Leon Rocky Edwards was not able to get into that octagon. At the end of the day, fighting is his career. This is what pays the bills. At least to my knowledge, this is his main source of income. So maybe he should have, moved himself and put himself in a foreign country, to him. Maybe move to the US, maybe move to another country and basically, see where he could go and train and do whatever is necessary to get himself into, that championship fight. Now, this is probably drawing a caution for the UFC if you really think about it, because at the end of the day, the UFC doesn't want a fighter that's not going to be active as champion. They're already complaining about Stipe Miocic, and it's not like Stipe has waited 18 months to fight, but it has been some time, and they're always on him about fighting more frequently. And for Leon Rocky Edwards to go 18 months without a fight, and it'll be 20 months by the time he steps foot in the octagon, that's going to draw a lot of caution. Now, the fact that he's turned down fights against, ranked fighters is also probably going to say, well, is this guy going to be difficult when he's champion? We don't want a champion there that's going to turn down every fight, oh, he's not worth it and he doesn't deserve it and this and that or whatever. The UFC needs to make money, and they do that by putting championships as the headlines of the pay-per-view, and they fight and they fight and they fight and they fight. That's just basically how it works out. Now, as far as the audience, it looks like, Leon doesn't really have the audience growth that some of these other fighters are getting. And that could be due to the inactivity that he's had. People forget you, and it's like, unless you're getting like these victories impressively, or you're getting these victories against top contenders, people don't really have a reason to start following you yet. Now, when you look at his Instagram following, he's only at 95,000 followers. And you're like, okay, 93,000 followers, which is, okay, it's not the worst. It's more followers than I have, right? But you look at Khamzat Chimaev, who's only fought for, 3 times, and he hasn't even been in the organization for a year or anywhere close to a year, and he has 1.2 million Instagram followers. And here, Rocky's been in the organization championship for many, many, many years. You know, he's actually been inactive longer than Khamzat has been with the UFC, you know? So it's a great discrepancy between the two. And at the end of the day, the audience is going to equal dollars. If you know, Leon doesn't have an audience to sell a fight to, then why does the UFC want to put him into a championship fight or make him a champion if he can't get anybody to even want to follow him for free? Why are they going to pay, you know, the $69.99 that it's going to cost for a pay-per-view? Well, on the other hand, Khamzat's already gotten 1.2 million followers based off of a couple victories against people that weren't even that good, and he has this following. Imagine when he starts getting victories over people that have the big names, you know? So it's only a matter of time. And that's why I think they're setting these two up so Khamzat can get that victory over a bigger name. So therefore, I'm thinking that if Leon Rocky Edwards were to get a victory over Khamzat Chimaev, he's still probably going to be 1 to 2 more fights before he's offered the title shot. Go into the comment section below and let me know if you agree with my theories on, you know, Khamzat, you know, 1 to 2 fights, or sorry, 1 fight to championship, you know, next. Or Leon Rocky Edwards 1 to 2 fights before he's actually offered a championship. Let me know if you agree with that or if you have a different viewpoint on this whole topic altogether. Don't forget to go to competitiveorigins.com, type in promo code MMA51 so you can get 10% off this Just an Obstacle t-shirt. That's right. This Competitive Origins t-shirt is now available if you didn't know, because I've already talked about it about 15 million times. You know, I want to thank you guys at home for tuning in today. And don't forget to subscribe. I'm BPC, and remember, you've been competing since conception, whether you're competing against yourself or others. Competitive Origins.